This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
And well,
I'm SurFool.
And if you guys haven't checked out SurFoolPlays on Mixer yet, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but it's Thursday. This is day 4. You only need to get one more reminder. So go to mixer.com/SurFoolPlays, SurFoolPlays, and you go check this guy out when he streams. Why don't you tell everybody what you stream?
A lot of first-person shooters. Try to get a party going just to keep me talking, and use Mixer to just capture the good times.
And if this is Thursday and this is the first video you've watched in the CHRILLCAST, what are you doing with your life? Go watch Monday through Wednesday. It's a lot of fun, I promise. Today is Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday. I don't know how I say that. Whatever.
That was good. You haven't done it in so many weeks. I'm glad you finally did it.
So today we're talking about Earthbound. Earthbound, a game that is beloved and weird and strange and retro all at the same time. A lot of people have covered it. Angry Video Game Nerd, probably Angry Joe. All the people with angry in the title of their name probably have all covered this game. It's got a spiritual successor in not Earthbound. That's literally what we're talking about, Undertale. But I'm going to give you guys a little brief overview of the Earthbound game. Earthbound was released on the Super Nintendo in the United States on June 5th, 1995, re-released on the Wii U Virtual Console in 2013. It is the second entry in the Mother series of games.
Reminds me of Alien.
Don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. Just kidding. Sorry, just kidding. And the only one to be released physically in the United States. It is the second entry, right? So the sequel to Famicom game Mother/Earthbound Beginnings. And it did get an English re-release on the Wii U in 2015. So you can play the first game in this series of games on the Wii U, for those of you that actually have one. As Ness, you remember Ness from Super Smash Bros., where he's way more popular.
That's all I know him from.
And as party of 4, the player travels the world to collect melodies from 8 sanctuaries in order to defeat the evil alien force. I'm assuming it's pronounced Gygus. This game is famous for not reviewing well upon initial release, believe it or not, but gaining a large following. And I'm not going to call it a cult following because usually those are small. This game has a massive following of casual and very, very serious fans, while also demanding a high price tag for physical copies. Critics attributed this to a combination of its simple graphics, satirical marketing campaign, and a lack of market interest in the game. I mean, when this game came out, who was looking for this game? Like, I can't think of anybody's like, I really want to go fight lamps. Like, there's not a market. Like, it's just so quirky. You know what I mean? The game has influenced tons of games to this day, including Costume Quest, South Park: The Stick of Truth, and the famous game Undertale, which is being succeeded by a game called Deltarune now. So, all I want to talk about is a few things. All right, the impact of Earthbound on the industry. When it first came out, I would say the impact was nil because nobody was looking for this game. But as people found out about it and the quirkiness of it, it's one of those like you know how videos can be evergreen and build an audience over time? This is kind of like that because there's not a lot of things like this. It's kind of one of those evergreen games that you may not have seen when it came out. You may not have even seen it 10 years later. But now I can't tell you anybody in the gaming industry, at least the people that I know, that don't at least know what this is.
Yeah.
I bet you five people out of 6 on YouTube probably know what this game is.
Yeah,
at least in the gaming space.
Yeah, getting back to your thing about like no one was looking for this game. I think that's how a lot of the best games are made, though. It's like is being the first of a genre, being the first of a certain kind of I don't know, play style, but also just being something completely unexpected. So when you're following trends or you're making a game that you think people will like that, is similar to other games, you're never going to make the splash. So even though this didn't review well, the reason why there's staying power is because there's only one game really like it, you know what I mean? So even if you don't necessarily like the game, you know the game and you play the game because it's the only one like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember this game even coming out, Dave?
Actually, I have a little note on here. It came out in '95. I was 2 years old when that came out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this is a game that I myself would not have experienced the release of either, right? Because we're all about the same age here. I just found this out. I really wasn't sure how old Dave was. You know, the beard can hide your age. You never know.
Mhm.
It's a little short right now.
Anyways, so I would have been too young to see the release of this game. So would have Will.
Mhm.
But nobody that I've talked to that's older remembers this game even coming out. To be entirely honest, everybody finds out about this game about a decade after it came out, or maybe even longer than that. Probably around the time emulators became really popular, because everybody's like, hey, go check out this weird game. Go download it from, coolrom.com or whatever game emulating site was available at the time. And they're like, what is this? And so people like slowly were putting videos on the internet. As YouTube took over and people were doing let's plays of this, people are like, what is this? Like, I don't remember this coming out. And now everybody's like, go to eBay. Let's go find what this is. Holy cow, it's a $200 game now. Like, what happened? So it's not that surprising to me that Nintendo never continued this series. From a business perspective, the first game came out in Japan, it didn't sell very well. The second game came out in Japan and the US, and it didn't sell very well. It's not a surprise Nintendo didn't continue the series, even with the large dedicated following it has now.
They had no reason to.
Right.
Mhm.
But now that it's got this massive following, it's in the position now to have a massive like rebirth or remaster, whatever you want to call it, in modern day, in my opinion. There is the audience.
They should give it the Breath of the Wild treatment.
Exactly. Well, I don't know about that, but let's fight lamps in 3D open world.
Exactly, it would be awesome.
Now that sounds really interesting.
So, how does a game like this develop a fandom? I think we've kind of talked about this, but as far as developing a fandom well after a game releases, like how many games can you think of that have developed a following this big, this long after it released?
Ooh,
Mhm.
wasn't expecting a trick question like that.
That was a trick question. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's hard for
Like
me to say. Just
maybe
because...
Elder Scrolls, but I mean that still performed pretty well when it first came out. But I mean that's something that definitely grew bigger as it, as people started getting introduced to it.
I would say the only comparable one in my mind, and it's not actually comparable because of the circumstances, is like Fire Emblem. Because like Fire Emblem started out with a small audience, a small dedicated audience, but they kept getting more series releases, right? So there was no build up over time of an old game. It was more of as they released newer games, people kept going back to play the old games. This series essentially died with Mother 3. Either way, the US only got Earthbound. That's the only one I'm focusing on. This series lived and died in the US with Earthbound. So I don't misspeak.
I believe there is a third game, but it's
I think you're right. And Mother 4 never came out. There's a fan-made version, but yeah. So I can't think of very many series that died and then built a cult following without any new releases.
Oh, Shenmue.
That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. It essentially died at Shenmue 2, and they built a cult following after the fact. People like Adam Korlick covered it, and eventually we got Shenmue 3. Hopefully there's a happy ending to Earthbound with, a Earthbound trilogy or Mother trilogy, whichever. US is completely okay with getting the Japanese titles now, so you could call it the Mother trilogy for all I care. And then maybe we'll get 4. I don't know.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
So
I can't speak to it growing a community after it's been basically abandoned, but I feel like this is definitely one of those examples that have inspired newer games to be that, games of service, like your Destiny or what Anthem was supposed to be. Like, you're seeing more developers creating a game that they're planning on supporting in the long run versus an initial release and then hoping that it performs well.
But then also letting it die if the community dies. I think that's the biggest issue I see right now. Like, you can't have a game that's dedicated with a live service without an audience. This game can build an audience over time because there is nothing that's live about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way with really all the old games, is that you can actually play the whole game still.
Right.
Whereas you have like Evolve that died off super quick, and you can't play that game now. So
Oh, the
even if you
board
did
game.
like it,
Anyway, do you guys have any closing thoughts on this?
I would like to have a trilogy remaster on the Switch.
Trilogy remaster would get me to check it out.
They should do it in like a similar style to Octopath Traveler. That'd be cool. Like a 2D, 3D thing. Anyways,
Yep.
let's have it happen. Earthbound trilogy, Nintendo. Let's do it. As always, I'm Chris,
And Will,
I'm SurFool.
and we will see you
on the next one.